good morning to all the participants. You just finished with your first session, and we have been asked, like, I will be starting just now. Uh, but let me share the slide. I just want to have a feedback that if my voice is clear with everyone. Okay. Yes. Okay. So let me share my PowerPoint and also give me the feedback. How is it visible? Is it visible full screen? Uh, I think I wanted it to turn it to full screen, but this much is okay. Okay. I hope it is visible. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Nitu Kaur, and I am working in Department of Education, Mizoram University, and I have completed my 10 years in Mizoram. And it is a privilege to be part of this induction program. Uh, Maybe just 10 years back, I was also one of the participants when I also underwent an induction program. So I feel really good to be on the other side, but definitely I will try with my limited capacity to bring forward a very important topic, which is also relevantly mentioned in national education policy. And the topic is also very close to my heart. It is related to interdisciplinarity. And I want to club it with a process which is called curriculum development, with which we all academicians are constantly engaged with, especially in higher education. A very important role is where we have to play in contributing useful curriculum to the students. So we are always in the process of construction, and that is not a one time process. It is a continuous process rather. So why we have to go see through the lens of interdisciplinarity? Because it interdisciplinarity has become the talk of the town. Are my slides moving? Because I would like to know from the audience. Uh, because somewhere I feel, uh, where is the chat box? Yes, okay. So if my slides are moving, please communicate through chat wherever if you feel something is not visible. So this is one picture which I made through an AI platform, which is called Perplexity. And I asked the AI platform to just construct a slide for me, which graphically depicts what is interdisciplinarity. So it made this for me. So even if we just go through today's, you know, today's one thing which is related to AI, which is it's transgressing every aspect of our life. This AI as a philosophy is also taking advantage of various disciplines which are contributing to it. One of the thing which I would like to mention here is the use of colors in the slide, which is based on a psychological principle that if we want to grab someone's attention, we have to give a visual, attention. So a lot of colors are embedded in this slide. So that is how interdisciplinarity was put through this AI platform. So I just wanted to lead the audience to this, slide in order to understand how many, differences it has, interdisciplinarity altogether. So before we understand what is interdisciplinarity, we need to know what is discipline. And before that, we also need to know what is knowledge. So, because disciplines are nothing but they're realms of knowledge, and we as human beings, we constantly interact with our environment, and knowledge is the sum total of our interaction with the environment, the way we try to interpret our interactions. So we sometimes have heard this phrase that knowledge is a big hole. And but then when we talk about disciplines, uh, various disciplines will try to move towards this whole through their different modalities. So modes of inquiries are different. So that classifies various disciplines in their process of acquiring knowledge. But the purpose is always what the hunt for knowledge. So as a human being, we are curious. We want to know. We have so many questions which we need to answer. And every discipline, perhaps in addressing this very big question, what is knowledge itself, has devised various modes of inquiries. So these the inquiries are now precisely called as disciplines, forms of knowledge, and sometimes they're also, some philosopher would like to just call them as realms of knowledge. This is a very famous, this is a intersection between two important entities. One is truth, and another one is belief. So as I said, every person who knows is very subjective. Initially, we have a lot of personal knowledges, but we can always expect that knowledge to be, graduated to knowledge which is very valid, which is very universal. So our personal knowledge can become a universal knowledge, provided it undergoes
Hello, ma'am.
some. Yes.
The participants requesting to make it a full screen.
Then I will not have the clue that whether I'll try. I'm making it full screen.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I think this is fine with me. Yeah. Okay. So when I say the uh, belief becomes truth, how it becomes truth? It becomes truth only through a inquiry, a process which is within a particular discipline, and it has been given uh, a certification that undergoing that process only we can lead to truth. But different discipline will try to move towards truth through various approaches. If we are from social sciences, we have a paradigm of, humanistic approach. And if we are from sciences, we have a paradigm of very objective positivist approach. So this qualitative versus quantitative paradigm is the difference in difference which is the creating differences in various disciplines. But the purpose is basically finding out the truth. According to John Hospers, there are two important conditions for something to be true, and we in philosophy they say it as a proposition, a valid statement, a meaningful statement. So a proposition, if it has to be true, if P has to be true, first condition is subjective, that the person has to believe it. The knower has to believe it, because we begin from our belief. Without belief, there is no knowledge. And the second thing is that it has to be independently true. That is very objective condition. It has to be true. And how do we find that belief to be true? It is through our inquiry, our process of validating it. So there is a methodology also involved in every discipline. So this is a very important branch of philosophy, which is called epistemology, which talks about theory of knowledge, how knowledge is generated, how and what of knowledge is being discussed. So it is just summed up as a justified true belief, JTB. JTB means any knowledge which is justified and which was for the first time a belief, it becomes a true statement. So that is called how this is our process of going towards the knowledge. And that is how we come down to the definition of discipline. Discipline is an organized body of knowledge. Just now we said every discipline has some important characteristics. So it has a logical structure, it has method, it has its history or tradition. So when we say a discipline has domain on which it, it tries to base its assumption. So, for example, if there is a discipline of high energy physics, so the domain would be something which is called nuclear particles. So, the people or scientists or academicians are involved in understanding those subatomic particles. But if a person is from psychology and he's trying to talk about behavioral theories or theories of learning, he basically the domain here is basically how individuals respond to different stimulus. So different disciplines have their different domains, and within a discipline various theories also develop on a particular domain. And of course, every discipline is having method and inquiry, a set procedural protocol which is followed. We say universally there is a scientific method which is used in all the sciences. That is a step-by-step process to validate knowledge. And finally, every discipline has its own history, its own tradition, its own assumptions, those giant, uh, axiomatic principles. For example, science is based on principle of causality, principle of uniformity. So they are the work of several scholars over long period of time, and they have added to the huge quantum of knowledge. So every discipline is distinguished with you know domain to act upon, with methods of inquiries, and of course its own tradition. And there is a substantiative as well as syntactical structure. What does it mean? Substantiative structures would be something like those broad big ideas which keep the discipline together, and syntactical aspect would be the methodological principles involved. So that is what we have already discussed, but it is also a way to give a meaning to every discipline. So there are basic disciplines, there are applied disciplines. So basic discipline would be something which has been you know uh, classified by various philosophers and academicians for the sake of classifying knowledge into some broad realms. So for example, mathematics is a very basic discipline, one of the most ancient discipline, which is based on concepts which are abstract, and they are deduced through principle of deducibility, and it is based on certain axiomatic systems. So if we are not from the discipline of mathematics, we somehow feel a lot of abstraction about this discipline, but this discipline is itself based on a lot of abstraction. So for example, Euclid's five postulates of geometry, so they are very universal, they can be self checked. These kind of principles require reasoning faculty, which is deduction. There's another reasoning faculty of mind which is called induction, uh, and both are very complementary to each other. But mathematics resides more in the realm of deducibility. And another is there are some postulates on measurements. On This is a snapshot from a textbook which is based on measurement, so which talks about the nine uh, postulates of measurements itself, which is related to numbers. So maths is based on certain basic fundamental principles. But when it comes to science, I will quote here Randy Bell, who said science is amalgamation of three domains. One is the body, the huge body of knowledge which we have, generated so far. And the second is, of course, science is nothing without the sound methodology, the processes, and the very abstract third part is the philosophy of science, doing science, the way of knowing, which is very less discussed in especially when students are learning science in school. But this is very important aspect. So that is altogether making a science unique. Similarly, this is the slide which talks about Paul Hurst, uh, a philosopher who did this, who classified all the disciplines into 7 basic types of disciplines, starting from logic. Then logic is very much a companion to mathematics, and physical sciences, and then we have human sciences, moral sciences, aesthetic experiences, where we talk about, the arts, the fine arts, and any kind of art, and religion is also very important discipline, classified by Hurst, and also the very fundamental discipline, the mother of all discipline, philosophy. Why philosophy? Because everything eventually came out of this mother discipline. We all might have read this quote or heard this quote, that philosophy has traditionally been viewed as the mother of all sciences. So this is an extract from Bertrand Russell's, classical view on philosophy, importance of philosophy. He was a mathematician. He was Russell was also awarded Nobel Prize uh, for literature. So he was a man wearing several hats. So he says that when a mathematician who is a specialist in mathematics, or a mineralogist, or a historian, if they are asked that how much glorified their science is, they will have a lot to speak. They can talk for long, because their science have achieved a lot, and it is now also declared universal. But if the same question is posed to a philosopher, he's not happy. He will be very, candid, and his response would be like, "My science have not achieved much," because the moment a science is established with a defined domain, methods, and tradition, it just got detached from philosophy, the mother, and it established itself as a full-fledged discipline. So, the great study of heavens, which was part of philosophy, now is astronomy. The great work of the Newton, which is based on mathematical principle, is it was based on it was a part of natural philosophy. The study of human mind was also part of philosophy, but now it is graduated as science of psychology. So that way, philosophy is now left with a residue, and that residue is still filled with so many questions which are yet to be answered, which have no, answers. So philosophy is that, core. So as we begin to find answer to some questions, we try to classify it as a established field of study. And this has been the process of expansion of knowledge into disciplines and realms of study. So I think by now the audience here is very would be understanding how it starts from the word knowledge, and then getting graduated to disciplines, and still trying to find out some answers to some big problems which are part of the big discipline of philosophy. There is an interrelationship. And then we have applied disciplines. Now, the topic today is curriculum construction through the understanding of interdisciplinarity. So, applied disciplines are the first, candidates for interdisciplinarity. So, if we see any applied discipline, for example, engineering, or or there can be a discipline of, uh, education itself. I belong to education, and education is a highly interdisciplinary subject. So when we talk of these applied disciplines, they borrow their fundamentals from the basic disciplines, and they merge, at least two, minimum two more than two disciplines for a particular purpose. So technology is a very brilliant example today. Technology is, as I said, it is entering every space. For example, the AI we are talking about today. So these technologies are very much interdisciplinary in nature. And so, for other examples, would be bioengineering, biotechnology, applied physics, environmental biology. There are so many interdisciplinary fields of studies which are coming up in higher education. So, interdisciplinarity is available in higher education, and national education policy is trying to also try to induce interdisciplinarity at school level education, although not in applied form, but as a very initial taste to the students, that there is a lot of possibility in the realm of interdisciplinarity. So there are some future professions which student would like to take, like profession in meteorology or oceanography or space science. There is a lot of scope of you know uh, mm, interdisciplinarity through various subdisciplines. So that is why applied disciplines are kind of interdisciplinary subjects. Now, it's a classification within classification. We can go on and we can devise our own, mental model for a particular interdisciplinary area, and it is all because of our pattern of thinking. How do we think, how do we connect? So that way, there is always a possibility of some new realm where we can enter, because the underlying thought which is kicking the idea of interdisciplinarity is that knowledge is a big whole, but our approaches are different. So if we try to unify our approaches by trying to know about other disciplines, it will be a newer experience. So that is the whole philosophy. And there is a distinction of structure, as I've already mentioned. Just remember the three key terms, that every discipline would be having a domain, a methodology, and a history or tradition. And we have so far recognized some 7 to 8 distinct disciplines like mathematics. There are different classifications. So if we go by Hurst classification, it is the 7 basic disciplines spanning from mathematics to philosophy. And fields of inquiry can also be classified as theoretical and practical. As we know that we must have done a course in research. So research is also fundamental research as well as applied research to action research. So research decides the realm of knowledge also, what kind of research and what kind of knowledge is being produced. So now I land down to the very important understanding of academic discipline. How do we define discipline in general? So the Latin word discipulus was the first word by which we associate the term discipline etymologically, and it means student. So basically, discipline is associated with student. It is associated with teaching. It's associated with a noun which is called teaching. So it is somehow related to teaching learning process where students were given a training into a particular discipline, and then trying to make them conform to the requirements of the discipline. And as Barry A and Bonji in their writing have given a very beautiful description of disciplines, that disciplines discipline disciples. So we try to conform to the standard requirement of being a student of a discipline. So if I'm a science student, I have to think logically, and I have to always say that I have to be skeptic. I have to be very, cautious to believe someone. I have to test it before I believe. This kind of, outlook is to be displayed. And by being in with a discipline, we try to cultivate the culture of discipline. But and in their very article, the article from where I have taken it is by Fabian Mendes in 2015, who is from health science. So, who quoted Barry and Bond's quote, disciplines, discipline, disciples. And they also said that it was 12th century when universities were established in that Western world, and you know, because of that, universities, some standard disciplines came into picture, and we somehow still adhere to the same classification. So even in 21st century, we still are following 12th century classification, that is the university organization is very much disciplinary. It is very much disciplinary, in the sense it's not like moving on to the multidisciplinary aspects. So there are some borders between disciplines, how and the disciplines can be distinguished because of certain characteristics. So that is a kind of rethinking approach by Mendes, that in in health sciences there is a lot of scope of interdisciplinarity, just because health sciences, the product of research in health sciences will be for people. And when the science is cut off from societal needs and even from the decision making process, the science we generate or the research we generate is of no meaning. So that is again further explained by him, which I would like to read, that there is an increasing understanding that science without people and without any other knowledge, like not thinking about beyond science and without considering the relationship of the outcome of science and the decision making, it will contribute to accumulation of knowledge, which is not very useful. So uh, we have reached to a point in history where we have huge scope through technology, abundance of possibilities are there, but we are also at this juncture where we have issues of sustainability, we have issues of morbidity, that is the death, which we can, prevent. What is the use of having medicines which are not able to save lives of people? So this is a very crucial juncture where we have to step out of disciplinary thinking, that we have to think in totality about problem solving, because world is facing problems which was never faced before, as we have seen in COVID-19 pandemic what happened. So there is a vital need of exchange of ideas, and in absence of that, uh, the generation of knowledge really finds no meaning. And perhaps, according to Fandis, we are still very unidisciplinary in our thinking, be in any science and social sciences or sciences that needs there is a need of reform. So, as now from disciplinarity, if we move on to interdisciplinarity, that it itself saying that it is a union of at least two disciplines and more than two disciplines, in such a way that we approach a problem in finding a solution to it. So it is an intersection of more than two or more than two disciplines, and it basically also fosters candidates capability, whoever is taking this disciplinary course of study, into understanding the real world problem, and also trying to tackle the problem by having some kind of uh, you know tools of critical thinking, tools of productive thinking, collaborative thinking. We can talk of the 4 C's, which is very important now, which are replacing the 3 R's. the traditional 3 R's where we talk about reading, writing, and arithmetic. Now we talk about, equipping our next generation with critical thinking, creative thinking, collaborative thinking, and also communications. Because communication is very important. What we do, what we research, it has to be also, put on platforms where it can be made use into. So that is what is the purpose of research. So that is why interdisciplinarity is a buzzword today. It is a talk of the town, and national education policy is also trying to promote the culture by imbibing it through school education. And of course, higher education is a very vital platform where interdisciplinarity has huge scope. I'm not saying that interdisciplinarity is not there, but it is a very it is there, just in terms of some research collaborations, or maybe some short term exchange, but not as a full-fledged field of inquiry. So we need to accommodate it. And like, who have trained the mind to be in the realm of compartmentalized chamber of discipline? We can move always out of the discipline. But then, yes, disciplinarity is a prerequisite. We have to be very well learned in our own discipline. Then only we can have uh, a thinking where um, we can think of interdisciplinary researches, because it's not a research which will be done single handedly. It will be a process of collaboration. So that is what is being required. Even the world level agencies like United Nations organizations have identified uh, uh, multidisciplinarity uh, in in a common layman's language, which can be specialized into interdisciplinarity. And now a further higher qualification is transdisciplinarity. They are regarding it as a very vital for solving 21st century problems which are because of very conflicting times. So we are seeing the world is full of conflict these days, and there are a lot of disparities, and all those problems are now recognized as the millennium goals. If you are aware of the 17 SDGs, 17 SDGs would be uh, the sustainable development goal. So if they have to be accommodated in our curriculum, it has to be talked through the lens of interdisciplinarity. There's no way out. We have to think out of the box. We have to, and I here would like to quote Moti Nisani's article, which is a very old article from 1995. I hope I'm audible to everyone, because that is one worry on my part because of internet connectivity. I'll just check the chat for my convenience. Uh, any, am I audible? The time here is, yeah, audible. So thank you so much. So what Moti Nisani is talking about, interdisciplinarity can be possible at four fronts. One is at knowledge front. Like, I have little understanding of some other discipline. Very lately, after being student of education, I developed the taste for philosophy. I was never knowing philosophy, something called philosophy, but I developed the taste. So I tried to read something in philosophy. That is just knowledge level. I make use of it just for my understanding. But we can have at a research level also, interdisciplinarity is very important. So here Nisani is talking about Gregor Johann Mendel, who was a famous botanist, but many of us know him as a person from biology, but he was a mathematician. He was a religious person. He was a monk. And then his knowledge in statistics really helped him to crack the great Mendel's law. which are very established. And by that time, in before 1900, there was nobody knowing about the the basic uh, fundamental structure of of genetic expression, the chromosome or the DNA. But then he, through uh, his daily observation and with his mathematical mind and through its statistical calculation, he was able to establish the ratio between the genotypic and phenotypic characters. So genotypic is something which is inside the gene, and phenotypic is what we see as expressed characters. So he went from phenotypic characterization to genotypic characterizations, which happen to be very true and sound. So that is that is an intersection of interdisciplinarity. One could have not done this without going beyond his own classical understanding. So it's important. Then Nisani is also talking about interdisciplinarity at the level of education and theory. In education, we have been doing it. We are trying to use principles of psychology and sociology and also philosophy in developing our teaching learning process. Like me being from education, I always talk of education more. So education is very interdisciplinary because it borrows fundamental ideas from psychology and philosophy and sociology, and even more communication theories. A lot of things are there. So there at education, we have this has become an established field of study because of these interventions. And theory is something which is a celebrated thing across disciplines. Every discipline comes up with their theories, and theories are just a kind of prediction of a natural phenomena through the observational data we have. So there's an element of prediction. We infer something more than what is observed. So we have various theories about explaining universe, but we cannot give good theories until and unless we are trying to know a thing from the lens of other discipline. So that is where sometimes even religion and physics are at facing each other. So religion, of course, will not be guaranteed as a as a science, but if we say philosophy of religion, there a lot of questions are asked which even today the the astronomers are asking. Okay, so there is a union. So we say that it's exact science or not. In order to qualify, a discipline has to qualify as a science only when there is a cause and effect relationship established. So in religion it is not a necessity, so it's not an exact science. But then at various junctures, questions which are posed by religious philosophers or students of theology, they are also posed by students of physical sciences or the natural world. So that is where interdisciplinarity is coming into picture. Having said that, uh, I will move to the next slide. The slide is not moving. I will just check. Yeah. So, as just now we said, it's a buzzword, and I'm quoting this from an article by Neville, which I have taken from another article by Krishnan in 2009, who talks about interdisciplinarity. And the problem where people are hesitant to adopt it is because they think that if we have one discipline transgress into another discipline, there is a problem of reducing the phenomena to a simpler version. So it still remains complex. So it can be only solved in the realm of being in one discipline. So there are a lot of problem posed by different specialists, and since they are specialists in their various fields, their problems are also very important. But still, there is a possibility where lot of exchange of ideas is possible. And just now I have said, I think I have said that multidisciplinarity is a larger umbrella term under which we fit in interdisciplinarity as a specialized kind of multidisciplinarity where uh, the two disciplines can get fused. They are more into each other. But in multidisciplinarity, they are still, their differences are visible. And when it comes down to transdisciplinarity, it is a higher version where lot of exchanges are possibles in the field of especially health sciences. Lot of transdisciplinarity is visible wherever human related sciences are involved. Transdisciplinarity has a scope. So this I'm quoting from another article on health science by Koi and Park. So I leave the reference so that if you are noting down, you can read those articles to have an understanding how uh, people are addressing the issues of multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, and transdisciplinarity. Now we are in the era of transdisciplinarity, uh, and then this is said that world has a lot of problems, but universities have departments. So we are still busy with that unidisciplinary approach, but the world needs more transdisciplinary approaches. And we have seen it in the school education reform, STEM to STEAM. I think we all are aware why there was a need to introduce STEM courses and then STEAM courses. STEM is very popular term from US, and STEAM is a popular term from Europe. People have been trying it and they have seen a lot of success where they are blending some standard disciplines for application oriented uh, approaches and preparing students for future problems. So as you know, STEM is abbreviated version of sciences, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and STEAM is same but with an addition of A, which is one step ahead, where A means arts, integrating arts into science. So that is what is now even national education policies proposing. We need to design curriculum where we can uh, blend arts with maybe sciences. So I have this information that there are many schools especially affiliated to central board, CBSC, uh, where I have heard from the people who are practicing it that they're introducing STEM courses, not a STEM course in ideal form, but interdisciplinary courses where a child who wants to, join science stream has the freedom to take, for example, he can take history, or he can take geography, or he can take music. So these kind of combinations are available, but then that will be a matter of research, like where it is being offered. In India, there are certain CBSC affiliated schools which have started this, and they're offering different combinations. So there is no rigid, tight, compartmentalizations in terms of choices. So it is being introduced when streaming is introduced in Indian school, that is from class 11 and 12. So that is just a very small, beginning. But STEM and STEAM is already well established terminology in the West. So where they are combining, blending different kinds of disciplinary knowledge also, and also various subjects at school levels, they are integrated. So for example, tourism is being offered in some higher secondary schools and high schools. And then this tourism is a blend of hospitality, also economics, and lot of you know scope of natural sciences are also embedded. So there is always a scope of blending various disciplines in a program of study which is being offered, and that can be regional, that can be according to the context, and that is where curriculum planners have to think in. Like school will be definitely deputing the the central board as well as the regional boards for hiring people who are having expertise in designing such courseware. So here comes the role of higher education institutions, where they can contribute in designing curricula which is very useful, very meaningful for creating life skills, creating skills for 21st century. So one example, which like I was part of a program long back, 10 years back, where I heard an article. I mean, I there was a paper which was read by a resource person who quoted Hermann Helmholtz. He's a German physician. He talked about, like, his background was from mathematics, so he said mathematics and music really go fine together. But then, as we can say that general perception is that they are mostly contrasting field of study. They are contrasting, but they are yet they have a lot of connections. So a lot of connections are there in a mind which is very musical, in a mind which is very mathematical. They happen to be very complementary to each other. So great thinkers from even Greek time, like Pythagoras, he was a great musician also. He was a mathematician also. So he created some musical notes out of his understanding of mathematics. And we know that Pythagoras is known for his great contribution in mathematics. Then in Middle Ages, there was another scholar, Boethius, who was a music expert, who he articulated some of his musical ideas in explaining mathematical concept like ratio, proportion, and number system. They really go well with music. And I also happen to have a memory down the lane from my school time when I was told to memorize not some kind of verbs in English language, auxiliary verbs, through a musical note. And then I still remember that musical note till date, without any forgetting. The tune is still recorded in my mind. So music is something which prepares the mind for a very healthy reception. We keep on recording things very musically. So many people can work very nicely with music. That is because music goes, it doesn't interfere with our processes, information processing processes. Then I will go back to Aristotle. He was another Greek philosopher, greatly celebrated over, whole ancient to medieval to modern centuries. So he classified in his, that era of uh, 4th century BC. Okay. Uh, um, I mean, I don't remember. I think 347 was the time uh, when Plato was there. So he was after Plato. So that time, he was able to give his definition of sciences into three types of sciences. One is productive science, another is performing science. No, the practical sciences. Another one is theoretical sciences. So he gave importance to all the three sciences, but he said, like, he has been quoted by Crift in saying that according to Aristotle, theoretical sciences are perhaps the most important sciences, and after that we have to give importance to practical sciences and then productive sciences. It doesn't mean that any one science is inferior to another science, but they are like productive sciences are basically acting upon the material world. For example, they make things better. The technology is trying to make world a better place to live in. So there is a lot of uh, production involved, or maybe a art form, a culture form. We try to give meaning to something which is material in material world. But when we say practical science, we talk about our own self, how to improve our actions, where we talk about he was equally a father of biology, and also he was great rhetoric. He's also father of rhetorics, and he also gave a lot about ethics. So he was a kind of person who had understanding of all kind of discipline, and this gives a clue of interdisciplinarity. So initially, when people started thinking from very logically, from mythologically, from myths to logic, when there was a transition, people always think in giant way, or in in a greater way, because as Aristotle has himself said that the whole is greater than its part. So parts will come when we understand it in a unified way, but it is never possible. That is another paradox, that we cannot see the whole, but we have to go through the parts. But uh, at the end, the our aim is to know the whole. So therefore here his classification also sounds very beautiful, very relevant in today's impression of understanding interdisciplinarity. So he classified knowledge into theoretical, practical, and productive sciences. So when we say productive sciences, we there is a poet, there is a artist, there is a painter. They all are great people. Why? Because they are not to be, uh, you know, uh, uh, compared to a scientist in, and then ranked in their understanding. For example, Leonardo da Vinci, who was the painter for the famous painting of Mona Lisa, the Italian painter. He happened to be the first person to design the aircraft model. So, when arts and science are unified, that is the epitome of creation. So, it's never in segregation. People cannot think in compartments, they have to think in a holistic perspective, because we are human. We have all the domains, or all the facets, or all the ways of seeing the world. So that is why the whole has to be celebrated anyway. So when it comes down to integration, because the talk I have another half an hour, and I'll try to give it a closure in the sense that how to integrate in curriculum. Because uh, we all as a teachers of higher education, our duty is to also design curriculum. So that is a very constant process. For I am a teacher educator, so I see that there is always an impression in our pupil teachers that they are going to teach. But then teaching is not the only thing. That is, of course, the thing. But then you have to create. You have to create curriculum. You have to publish at the level of teacher. You have to do action research. Why do we forget that teaching is not about only transacting a ready-made curriculum? We have to design our own curriculum, and we have to practice what are the ideals of curriculum. So even if there is a curriculum which is not working fine for a school, you have the right to incorporate changes, because you are the transactor, and the person who transact is also the person who design. Although in India, we say that it is not the reality, because my student often pose the question that we are not the textbook designers, we are just taking a ready-made textbook and then we teach in the school. We cannot have our understand. I said you will have after you are experienced. And second thing, I give this idea from countries which are like topping the charts. For example, Finland. So where the Finland teacher education program is designed in such a way that teachers are very autonomous. They are held responsible for their own curriculum. So that kind of autonomy, if is has to be, brought in India, we need to change our mindset first. So that is one thing. So another term which is very close to interdisciplinarity is integration. We integrate the curriculum. So that is what Pring is saying, that integration incorporates idea of unity between forms of knowledge and respective discipline. That is what I have been talking about. And when we develop a plan of teaching following a centralized theme based education, we can always have an opportunity to move beyond the boundaries. So if you're a biology teacher, you have the chance to move into the realm of geography, and you have also the chance to move into the realm of social sciences. Lot of scope is there, because biology by its nature itself is very human, very much related to experiences of humans. So therefore, so here I would like to quote Emerson, because this quote is in relating different sciences together, especially in the realm of natural sciences, that the astronomer discovers that geometry, is a pure abstraction of human mind, is the measure of planetary motion. The chemist find proportion and intelligible method throughout matter. And science is nothing but finding of analogy, identity in the most remote parts. So that happens only when we just discover it ourselves, that yes, there is great deal of relationship across various concepts, various ideas, which can be tried in a different way. So here there is a lady called Forgati, who for like her research has given 10 models of integrating. So she gave a very simple, fragmented traditional approach of teaching, like a biology teacher is teaching biology and geography teacher is teaching geography, and there is no interaction. And they teach their own subject matter in a very, you know, in their own space. But this fragmented traditional approach can be converted to a very highly networked curriculum planning. So her continuum is between a very fragmented to a networked approach. And in between, she has given her another 8 ways, where she talked about connected, nested, sequence. So if you just Google Forgati's classification, you will get these 10 models. And you can even look for yourself where you can, even try one for yourself. I have been trying. I try integrated approach while delivering teaching students lesson planning in biology lessons, where they can take some ideas from geography, sometime from history, but then it is a whole process of interactions. We need to collaborate. And another classification is given by Jacobs in 1989. It was still older before Fogarty. He told about parallel discipline, multidisciplinary, and interdisciplinary, or integrated and complete integration. So integrated day means when we try to plan for a day in school, how the whole day can be converted to an integrated day. For example, national education policy is talking about 10 bagless days in the middle school curriculum. So how these 10 bagless days will be used, where students will not go with their baggages, and they will just be there to learn some artistic skills, or some kind of local art, maybe making bamboo anything, any art material from bamboo baskets. Like in Mizoram, we have this art of bamboo craft. So they will learn, or they will learn stitching, or they will learn any local uh, vocation, which is like also to be it has to be uh, uh, it is the duty of every curriculum to take care of the local culture. So context are to be or transferred to the next generation. So that process is also being done. So that way he talks about integrated day, where we can embed so many themes together. So if they visit a hospital, so they can interview a nurse or a doctor, how a day of being a nurse, what is life like being in a nurse, what kind of moral characters are to be developed. So without a lesson of moral lesson, there is a possibility of student becoming very empathetic towards the demand of a profession. Who can become a doctor, or who will be the person who can be a technician, lab technician, the one who has very much technical in skills. He can take see what is a MRI machine, what is a CT scan machine. So if these kind of you know I will call it a day out of students to some important places, will also give a lot of encouragement to students to understand in holistic way. So it is not to be understood through books. So the bagless days are meant for that. And even teacher education curriculum, NEP 2020 is talking about trying to make teachers very important, the role changer. Their role has to be changed. They have to be more a facilitator and giving more opportunity for student to learn on their own. And for that matter, here I would like to talk about one incidence where, like 10 years back, I should say, there was a visitor from RCI. She was a lady from Rehabilitation Council of India, the council which takes care of special education. So at that point of time, B.Ed general and B.Ed special, of course, they are different today, but there was no much blending. So a question is posed that when we are preparing teachers and when we are talking of an inclusive classroom, when we are talking about differently abled children, why are we not preparing a unified curriculum which will equip every teacher with necessary skills to handle children with special needs? That is the problem we are facing. We are not getting adequate supply of special education, and they are, and therefore especially needed children or the differently able children, they are not getting the right teacher, because the general B.Ed curriculum and the special B.Ed curriculum still have some borders, and there is no interaction. So that is like, I myself, I am not knowing much about like how to handle a child who is differently able, because of my training. I can acquire that training now, but then our curriculum did not allow much. So that is a big problem. Of course, we need special educators, specially, but a minimal amount of training is required. So that is what in 2014 regulation by NCT. So there was inclusion of a paper called inclusive education, where our students in general B.Ed course are given knowledge about various disabilities and different kinds of inclusions at the level of economic level, or maybe disadvantaged sections. But then it is a very general course. It doesn't talk about exclusive skill sets which are to be there for special educators. So it's still, special education is different and general education. And if we can hit uh, the target in one go, if we blend these two courses, that is a need, because we don't have a lot of vacancies being filled with special educators. That is a problem. So that is why I'm saying that there is a need of interdisciplinarity, moving from our traditional approach or comfort zone, I would say, like that. So and then I this is also initiative of NCRT, which talks about arts integrated in learning. So wherever we can accommodate art. So here I would like to talk about Chicago public schools. This is not at higher education level. I'm sorry, our target audience here is from higher education, but I would like to just show that it is schools from where we have to start and where we have to contribute. So some schools are trying to incorporate arts everywhere, in science, in maths. And just now we had a relationship scenario I presented, how music blends very well with mathematics. So there are a lot of multidisciplinary approaches in a school setting which are missing in our Indian scenario. So that has to be cultivated, and that is basically more through the academia, serious academia, who is wherever you are, you can try to initiate this discussion that are we not very outdated in our culture of practicing disciplinarity. We need to have and I'm not saying that everything is negative. A lot of things are already being done. So that's what is the highlight of this teacher education curriculum, that whatever is proposed in NEP 2020, it's not that it is the first time. It is already being practiced. It is a kind of reiterating the importance of role of teacher. Now I come to the new horizons where at higher education level, interdisciplinarity can be addressed, like HIV/AIDS is a very big threat in all over globe, all over India, and in some sections of India. So we basically cannot handle this uh, global issue just by talking about its epidemiology, like how it spreads and why it spread, but there is a lot of awareness. So we already know that it's a multi-faceted understanding. And then global warming, which is another aspect, there we can bring in a lot of discussion, sustainability issues. These are all where interdisciplinary thinking can be initiated. So here my source is Wikipedia. Straight, you can always have a reading. A lot of references are there in even in Wikipedia. So you can go to those references if you want authentic published uh, report. And today I'm just trying to close. We are in the age of complexity and uncertainty. So when we talk about sciences basically are trying to talk about there are two schools of thought. One is very deterministic, and another is indeterministic. So, deterministic is the classical thought. We grew up with that deterministic, bend of mind, that science believes what can be proved. So, there is always a linear cause and effect relationship. So, there is a determination. Everything is caused by something. But then uncertainty is another way of thinking, that there are many unpredictabilities whichever phenomena. For example, prediction of weather, there is a lot of you know uncertainty in the prediction. So since the systems are very complex, there is always this uncertainty is there. We need to teach different sciences, from social sciences to natural sciences, the students to tackle uncertainty. Like, it is not we are not giving them a ready-made formula of like doing what uh, when you encounter a problem. This problem A has solution A, and then problem B has solution B. That way a linear relationship is nowhere defined, so we can have a lot of uncertainty. So therefore we need to acknowledge that through our research, and there we have to take help of the aligning disciplines or the parallel disciplines for trying to solve a problem in a very holistic way. So we are already in the era of transdisciplinarity, but it was first discussed by great Swiss philosopher. And he happened to be a biologist, and he is a great psychologist, Jean Piaget, who gave a theory of cognitive development. And he talked about transdisciplinarity in one of his lectures. So it was in 70s when there was a talk. So that was the time when transdisciplinarity discussions were initiated. And they are, they are fertile complementarity is there between multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, and transdisciplinarity. They are not like different things. We start with a general understanding of multidisciplinarity, then we talk of uh, more uh, better interdisciplinary form of research as interdisciplinarity, and then we can talk of transdisciplinarity. So this is also a very big idea initiated in 70s, and I take these some Google pictures which help us to depict the understanding of like compartmentalized disciplines. Then, when there is multidisciplinarity like education, we can talk of uh, various allied fields where there is a theme which is borrowed from aligned themes. And then interdisciplinarity is also there where we dwell into the realm of other discipline. We just try to transgress, but not as a whole. But then, when there is a huge union between various disciplines, there we call it transdisciplinarity, very higher order form of interdisciplinarity. And that is why we are already not talking of new idea. It is already being discussed in academia, and even Neil Bohr talked about it when he gave the understanding of a dual nature of matter, the wave and particle nature. So it is also there. And I would like to talk about two theories. One is world system theory, and one is the chaos theory. One is from social sciences, another is from sciences or system understanding systems. So, world system theory is talking about, not the nations as the unit of interaction, but there are some important unitary interactions at the level of capitalist economy, how the world is being uh, run by imperial forces, where the theory maker Wallerstein says that there are three primary categories: core, semi-periphery, and periphery countries. So India is a semi-periphery country, and some big shots of the world which are producing, which are uh, enjoying the huge uh, asset of any kind of business. They are the main beneficiaries uh, of this, what to say, any kind of trade. They are called the core bodies. And then there are some countries which are periphery countries. Just excuse me for a while. I'll just take 1 minute. I'll just I'm sorry for this interruption. So I was talking about world system theory, where countries can be categorized into core, semi-periphery, and of course periphery countries. So though the third world countries are those countries where a lot of resources are available, they are being taken advantage of their resources, but they are not getting the benefit of the resources. So all the raw materials are being used by the poor countries from these periphery countries. And semi-periphery countries are the manufacturing hubs or the interconnections. So we can say most of you know, the technological export to the core countries is being assembled in India, like in Bangalore or in Mumbai. They are some part of semi-periphery, realm in this big country of India, where every place is not regarded as semi-periphery zone. But then what is happening, the world is having a lot of inequalities, lot of unequal share of resources. The world resources are going into the hands of big shots, big giants, most of the European and the Western countries like US. So that is the problem. We have to holistically understand the world economics, world politics. It's a very big classic example of multidisciplinary thinking of the author. So this came in 1970s, and now the world is talking about chaos theory, which I'm not very you know of course, I'm not at all expert of chaos theory, but it is really in trying to take my attention. Are my slides moving? Because I'm finding some problem. It's I do not know what is happening. Is my internet connection lost? Because I feel no. So somebody has saying no. Is it moving now? Because the processing of my system is bit slow. So chaos theory, you all can definitely, it is between the deterministic school of thought and indeterministic school of thought, in especially in the forefront of how should I say, natural sciences. So where we talk about the traditional Newtonian concept of universe and the new quantum mechanical Einstein thinking of the universe. So those who are from that background, they will be definitely knowing more. So this determinism and indeterminism, they happen to not fit very easily with each other. So chaos theory is the middle way, where people are talking about determinism determinism, but there is a lot of uncertainty in that determinism. So that is where great mathematician from MIT, Edward Lorenz, gave the term butterfly effect. As a meteorologist, he was simulating a computer program, and he happened to round some digits from 0.506127 to just rounding it to three decimal positions, and then it created a huge difference in the behavior of the simulated model. So I'm not from computer science at all. What comes to my mind is that this effect was coined by him, where he highlighted the importance of sensitivity of a system to small uh, changes. So he said, very interestingly, that a flap of a butterfly's wing in Brazil could set off a chain of events leading to a tornado in Texas. So can you just imagine what is the statement? So a butterfly's wing has can bring small mini scale changes which can lead to a tornado in Texas. So this is what is the big thing about chaos theory. People are talking about it, and it is helping in our precision in weather and climate predictions, biological systems, even in world economy. So what I want to just say by highlighting these two theories, that there is more than simple thinking involved in inventing these theories. So you might have heard of one quote, that jack of all trades and master of none. So you might be thinking that this person this resource person is asking us to be jack of all trade but master of none. But no, the quote is always misquoted. The whole quote is jack of all trade, master of none, though often better than master of one. So it is still giving you a value addition if you will, move away from your own discipline, and not away, trying to, complement your discipline with something with which it is, because after all, knowledge has evolved from something which was one. And as we grew in our knowledge quotient, more and more classifications came just for the sake of recording it. So why is the need of some kind of skills in our students, like thinking, learning skills, which are to solve world problems? Because nobody needs spoon-fed children, and employers are also giving thumbs to those students who are, very affluent in critical thinking, and more than their qualification, they should be problem solver. And world is having a lot of problems which was never encountered before. So a lot of uh, factors are there. So some more quotes: what is proved was once only imagined. So if we don't imagine, we will never come to a next stage. So imagination is important, and discovery is looking at the same thing in a different way. So the way others think, you may not think. So these are also there. A lot of quotes are there, but I'll just skip. You can just see, nothing is more dangerous than idea when it is the only one. So if you have only one idea, it is very dangerous. So if you have that feeling that your discipline is the best discipline, that cannot be a good change maker. And doubt is pleasant condition, but certainty is absurd. So it's better to be in doubt. Always try to learn. We cannot be certain that, like, I am a PhD and now no more new learning is for me. I'm already having a guarantee of giving knowledge. And we need to educate people for jobs that don't yet exist. So there will be new jobs, new future positioning. So we need to prepare and that we should be in that process from today itself. Like somehow we should contribute. So I will now just talk about the things which we are to do, philosophy of interdisciplinarity, how we can contribute. So first of all, we need to think differently. Oh my god, is am I audible? Because I have a message on my screen that your internet connection is unstable. I have issues, but I am, if I'm audible, voice is breaking. I'm so sorry for this. So that was the uncertainty. I was not knowing that this will happen. So there is always uncertainty. New agenda for discussion, how to design such a course where I can find interlinkages with world problems. So try to relate, convert values into actions. It's good to talk about non-violence, it's good to talk about peacemaking, but if you're not doing it in action, it doesn't make sense. So if we and we can initiate interdisciplinary practical solution based research. So for that, we can start at least reading about some allied discipline. We can talk to people from other disciplines. We can think of collaboration. And then there can be, I mean, the big amount of change making is expected out of academia, because the power of pen, it's mightier than sword. So that is what is I wanted to convey, because I have a very limited understanding of my own uh, uh, you know how should I say, journey into interdisciplinarity. It is also new for me, but it happens to be very exciting. I feel very enthusiastic when I talk about it. So I tried to blend it with curriculum development. Of course, this 1.5 hour is not enough to talk about the various aspects of curriculum development, but we can always understand it in terms of some important principles of curriculum development. I do not know, somehow my slides are not moving. I really feel my system is very slow. uh, so there are in an ideal curriculum is this is the nature. It's a continuously evolving process. So any curriculum which is not revised, which is not updated, which is really not taken care of, is really rotten. It is next to something which is making no sense. So we have to always evolve it, and it is based on the needs of people. So what is the need of the student right now? And that has to be accommodated, and it has to be democratically conceived. It has to be about every person, not targeting one section of society, but for the benefit of everyone. And by democratically understanding, we can also say that all the members, faculty members, should try to contribute. It should not be one person's task. Then curriculum is a result of long term effort, so we have to invest a lot of effort. It is complex of details. It's a logical sequence of subject matter, and it complements and cooperates with other programs of community. It has educational quality, it has administrative flexibility. So all those things are perhaps the characteristics of a very ideal curriculum. So we need to incorporate these principles and, of course, the nature into our process of planning. So my lecture is still incomplete in the sense that I'm not trying to give it a closure through the stages of curriculum development, which would be another, requirement for a continuous session. So that way we can, definitely talk in more practical sense by taking one part of the curriculum, how to convert it into more interdisciplinary approach. But then, nevertheless, these nature and these principles of curriculum development are the heart of curriculum making. We need to be aware of it. Most of us are not from education, I think. So, as a student of education, we have been trained into these principles. But those who are not from education, they might find these terms very useful. Why a curriculum development is a cooperative process? Because you cannot neglect the audience, you cannot neglect the learner, you cannot neglect the society. So I always say 3S: society, student, and subject. Of course, curriculum is about subject, but it has to be through the uh, needs of the student or learners and also the society. Then it is cyclic because there is always a round of revisions. For example, in Mizoram University, we have a process of revising our curriculum in every 3 years. We try to give more additions, and we can even delete something which is redundant, which is not like very useful these days. So we have to always bring in some new things. Especially in sciences, there is always a scope of change. But we in social sciences, we feel that not very big changes are coming up every year, so there is no need. But then there is always a need of reforming or revising. And it's a political process in the sense that we need to see the you know the even the overall harmony of the all the subsections of society. So as a whole, education has a two-way relationship with polity, with lawmaking, and with even economy. So everywhere it has a relationship. So if we can work down the relationship, like how our program can help in boosting of economy of a particular place, or how it can bring in a law making process. So every system is amalgamation of these four subsystems, as I said: law, polity, and economy, and the fourth section is education. So education is something where curriculum is the crux. So if there is a input, output, and operating system, I think my time is almost over, but I'll just conclude. So if there is input, output, and operating system in a computer system, so input is of course the teaching part, and output is the learning part, but the curriculum is the operating system. So the way we our operating system is, that kind of product will be generated. So that is a very materialistic view. I don't go by that, but just to give you an idea in capsule, that what is a curriculum? It's just like OS of a system. And a curriculum is both forward and backward. Like sometime we try something, if it doesn't work, we can just try to reform. So it is always a thinking process on. It's a social process. You cannot do it in isolation. So this is all the nature which are to be learned as a student of curriculum development. We need to know, and there are some, I have explained the processes, I mean the nature, and there are some principles. And one very important principle of development is integration. So integration is itself the principle of any curriculum. Try to integrate horizontal articulations in at one level. We can articulate what we are learning in philosophical perspective, and what we are learning in psychological perspective. There can be some interrelationship. So that way, there are n number of principles, around 10 to 12 principles are spelled out. So there are some principles which really highlight the importance of integrations. So I will give it a conclusion, anyhow, running through my slides, that curriculum planning is ranging from a continuum from of being very disciplinary, fragmented, to very interdisciplinary, integrated. The choice is between the two ends, but we cannot be rigidly at any of the end. I cannot We cannot even say that we are at the ends. We are always in somewhere in between. We try some interdisciplinarity in one or the other way, but the more we try, the more we are approaching toward the mission of holistic education, mission of introducing interdisciplinarity, that is very well spelled out in our national education policy. And therefore, it brings me to deliver this topic. I hope it makes some sense, because you all are uh, uh, informed academia, so you can make use of what we have discussed. So that is all from my side. Looking into the time, I try to conclude from my side. And of course, I would like to see the questions in the chat box if there are any, because I was trying to mostly, uh, you know, address you all. I never allowed you to talk. So, the organizing secretary, if you allow, there can be some questions. Hello. There's no question as of now. I see no question. Is it moving? What is the opinion on degree of feasibility in terms of integrating MDC in Indian higher education? What is MDC? This was a question by Gerald Lepcha. I am sorry, I am not knowing the full form of MDC. Is it, can you just write for me? There's no one who is trying to coordinate right now. And I can go on. I can go on with my slides. Uh, so, Gerald, Can you just tell me what is MDC? Who is this person? MDC, I am not getting this term. Somebody who knows, anyone can just write in the chat. Multidisciplinary courses. Oh my God. So, see, the person who is talking about multidisciplinarity, of course, in higher education, multidisciplinarity has to be introduced. If you have gone through NEP 2020, there are two sections, broad section. One section is dedicated to school education, other section is dedicated to higher education. And in higher education, we have been talking about a lot about interdisciplinary courses. We already have a system called credit based choice system introduced from 2012 onwards in the last 5-year plan, where where it was made compulsory for every higher education candidate to have a subject of their own choice, so they can learn some credits of their own choice. So if there is someone who is in literature and he has interest in sciences, they can take, but then that depends on the combination which a particular institute is going to provide. Further, NEP 2020 is trying to talk about academic bank of credits, where you can earn credits and then you can use it if you are leaving a course, you can transfer those credits to another institution. There is a possibility of introduction of multidisciplinary courses. We have introduced it at UG level in Mizoram University, and already the CBCS curriculum is being practiced, and we also try to update some more interdisciplinary courses, so students from other department comes to our department of education to learn peace education, or if they want to have a course on human rights, so education department is the right place. So student merely choose the multidisciplinary course, they choose interdisciplinary. uh, Interdisciplinary courses are, as of now, not very much visible, although we we have coined the term, but we need to have more research on that. We use NEP 2020 itself is using the term interdisciplinarity, but it is in a very infancy stage. It has to be researched. Like, more you research at your departmental level, you are in the situation of offering a particular course. For yesterday, we were having a conference on peace education, so it was decided that why not to offer peace education to every student as a one time course, or just as an interdisciplinary course. So this was being discussed yesterday in the conference, because peace education is a highly interdisciplinary field of study. So that way, we are introducing it, but as I said, it is still in very infancy stage. What is the difference between multidisciplinary is something where an idea is taken from various disciplines. Like, when I say something like education as a whole, or curriculum itself is very multidisciplinary, it's in its approach. When I say curriculum is following the principle of flexibility, or there is principle of differentiation, we try to borrow from lot from psychology. We try to learn about the psyche of the learner, and then we we basically try to use it. So so i i, I think multidisciplinary term is the larger umbrella term, but interdisciplinarity is more intersections over two disciplines. So it can be a field of mathematics and music. I can say there can be a lot of it. So you have to design a course where you find an opportunity to design a mathematical content using musical, understanding. So you happen to have some understanding of music and mathematics both. But interdisciplinarity as a whole is definitely, sometimes synonymously, we can say it is equating to multidisciplinarity, but multidisciplinarity doesn't invades other discipline. It is just that the nature of the discipline itself is of blended nature. If I'm taking away your time of break, I am sorry, but I'm not getting anyone who is talking from the other end, the coordinator. uh, Dr. Moya, is there anyone? Okay, so in the meantime, I will address other questions. uh, so I hope Dr. C. Stella, I could make myself clear about the difference between multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity. Curriculum is a multidisciplinary, concept. When we say curriculum as a field of study, so when you have to design curriculum, you have to see the nature of learner, you have to see the societal needs, you have to, of course, have the idea that how you want to arrange the subject matter, whether it should be learner centered or subject centered. So you cannot design curriculum without having basic understanding of some allied fields for communication, the theory of system theory, all those things, how the course we are designing, all those things are very much required. But interdisciplinarity is one step ahead of multidisciplinarity. So I hope you will all read, and if you would like to, uh, I will try to share the slide so that you can also try to make use of it. uh, and with that, I close my session of today. It was a very good interaction, but at the same time, we cannot hear. Like, how should I close the program? I'm just wondering. There's no one from the other side. So let me call. Okay, I'm just closing my video and audio.